Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. This is Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and we are back for another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about all things U.S. immigration that have gone on in the past week or so. We like to talk about what's hot, keep you all informed and updated. So, I like to dive right in. So here we go. First thing we're going to talk about this morning is the market research analyst litigation that has been ongoing now surrounding the H-1B visa category. The H-1B visa category, as we know, is a category for professional workers. The job duties must require a bachelor's degree, and the individual must have a related bachelor's degree, related as in field of study. For years now, the Immigration Service has not liked the market research analyst position. They have issued many RFEs indicating that the market research analyst position does not, in fact, require a bachelor's degree as a minimum requirement to perform those job duties, even though the Occupational Outlook handbook, produced by yet another government agency, says, in fact, a bachelor's degree is the normal requirement for that position. So after many, many years of RFEs and in many cases denials, immigration lawyers have taken this issue to court. We are now, or I should say they are now, at a point where we have a proposed settlement for this litigation. Part of that proposed settlement litigation essentially says the Immigration Service will absolutely recognize the Occupational Outlook handbook, unless there are some other factors that are happening in the case, in the individual case. So it looks like, fingers crossed, we are almost done with that litigation, and it looks like we're going to come out where it says that the Immigration Service will need to recognize that the Occupational Outlook handbook, in fact, does say that the position of market research analyst typically requires a bachelor's degree. So hopefully we are at the end of that litigation. Hopefully we will prevail, and this will be sort of a non-issue moving forward, and we won't have to fight as hard to convince the Immigration Service that, in fact, that position does require a bachelor's degree. So I will definitely keep you updated on that and let you know what I hear moving forward. Next, I want to dive into the diversity visa lottery. So the diversity visa lottery during the pandemic was an absolute mess, as was everything else. The issue with the diversity visa lottery, however, is that those applications must be adjudicated within within one fiscal year. So the fiscal year starts on October 1 and ends the next end of September. So again, immigration lawyers have had to go to federal court, and now we have a district court that has instructed the Department of State, who oversees all of the overseas consulates, to, quote, expeditiously process the diversity visa applications by the end of this month, meaning by November 30th. For the 2021 diversity visa lottery, so that those individuals are able to take advantage of being selected in the lottery, and so that they are not harmed through no fault of their own. And so the prioritization of cases at the consulates is going to shift while they are working on these diversity visa cases. So hopefully we will see significant movement with those cases as well. Last week, USCIS came out with a formal announcement that the COVID-19 vaccination must be had. Someone must be fully vaccinated for if they are applying for a green card to the U.S. So that is the case if someone is inside the U.S. and they are applying, or if they are outside of the U.S. and they are applying through one of the many U.S. consulates overseas. Previously, the CDC had instructed the government-approved doctors that they needed to, ask for, look for, and document the presence of someone having had the COVID-19 vaccination. Now, USCIS has come out and followed that guidance and has issued guidance of their own and said that, yes, indeed, the COVID-19 vaccination is required. The next thing I want to talk about is what could be some really great news for our international students. So those people coming into the US in student status in F, M, or J academic students, they may, not everybody, but some may be able to bypass the interview requirement at the individual consulate. So this, of course, is not going to be everybody. It is going to be on a case-by-case basis. And this is not a permanent situation. It is only going to be thus far through the end of this calendar year. So through the end of 2021. And those international students that may be eligible to get their visas without having to go into the consulate for an interview are those students that were previously issued a visa and who have never been refused a visa. But if they were refused a visa previously, if they overcame that refusal and the visa was ultimately issued, then they may be eligible for not having an interview for their student visa moving forward until the end of this year. Also, if there is no apparent ineligibility, so if your application is good to go other than the interview, the consulate may decide to approve your visa without having you come in for an interview. But if there is something going on in your background that they have more questions about, they will absolutely schedule an interview and have you come into the consulate and address their concerns. First-time visa applicants, they're your very first visa. You're coming to the US, or you desire to come to the US in either F, M, or J status. If it is your first time and you are from a visa waiver country, again, you may be eligible to not have an interview if, and assuming that the consulate doesn't see any other issues with your eligibility in your background. If you are coming from a non-visa waiver country and you've not had any issues with your visa issuances in the past, you too may be eligible for bypassing the interview. So what we are hearing now from the Department of State is that these criteria are up to the each individual consulate. And so the best place to really find that consular specific information is to go to the website of the consulate where you would be applying. For most people, that is going to be the consulate in your home country, as each country is going to look at these criteria a little bit differently, as we've been told by the Department of State. So this could be a game changer for students who are overseas currently and looking to come into the US. And as we all know, because of COVID, the backlog in just getting an appointment at the consulate is astronomical at the moment. So this is just another way that the US government is trying to work through these backlogs and be flexible. So I think it's wonderful that that the government is trying to be as flexible as possible, while still maintaining safety. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about are I-9s and E-Verify. And what do we do? What is the expectation if we are in the middle of a natural disaster? If we are in the middle of an earthquake, if there is a hurricane coming, with hurricanes, we typically get a lot more lead time, a lot more notice that they are coming. So right now, the Immigration Service has said the I-9 requirements and the E-Verify requirements are still in place, and we still must follow them regardless of whether or not we are in a natural disaster. E-Verify can be accessed online, and some folks are doing their I-9s on paper. Some folks are doing those online. But those two processes, according to the Immigration Service, should be done in the proper timeframes, unless there is specific guidance surrounding a specific natural disaster. So really, I think we just want to kind of all keep that in mind and all move forward business as usual to the extent possible. And then we just kind of have to go from there. Hopefully, I've seen that the Immigration Service is pretty good about recognizing that there's a disaster that has occurred and then quickly getting guidance out. But as of right now, they will continue to enforce all rules, all laws, all regulations when it comes to employment verification, even if there are unanticipated natural disasters that occur. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to my office and we can talk about that. The last thing I want to talk about this morning, I'm going to make this a little bit quick, is there has been a move within the agency, within the immigration agency, to accept more credit card payments. This certainly cuts down on live checks going through the mail and the potential, for checks being lost or misplaced or what have you. So they are expanding their credit card payment pilot program now to the Texas Service Center. So for individuals that are applying for their green card and they're at the Form I-140 stage. So for some of you, that's going to be the middle of the process. For some of you, that's going to be the beginning of the process for your green card. But once you get to that stage, they are now accepting credit card payments. And so that is something that we are, looking at. And certainly, if y'all have any questions about that and whether or not you think you are eligible or whether or not you've just general immigration questions, feel free to reach out to me at my office. I can be reached at 954-903-1337. This has been another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite. I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. If this has been helpful, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a question in the comment, and feel free to click like and click share. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you all next Monday.